Maybe we can just, let's recreate it. Are you ready? Or do you want to support NA League of Legends?
Yeah, are you for support freedom? Because this is America. We all subscribe here. I don't know how the rest of the ad goes.
Salute the players. Salute the players, everybody.
Canadian players, remember?
Yeah.
We just interviewed Tomio.
Too.
He's in Canada too. Let's be real.
Hey, there we go. All right, and don't forget, subscribe. It helps out the channel. It helps out us support the players and the organizations with the revenue from those subscriptions being split up 50-50. Make sure subscribe, Twitch Prime. I don't know what else to say here, but Steve, you're supposed to.
You're doing great. You're on a roll.
Support the players.
Why is this
You're
my
putting money
responsibility?
directly into the teams and players' pockets. There you go. I got you. Don't worry.
See, beat down the true brother here. He actually supports me, Steve. Doesn't just leave me out to dry with no idea what I'm saying anymore.
Are you over this way?
He just gave you the dirtiest look.
Get good, Magical. Get good.
All right, fair enough. You know what? I got to get good because we got to focus on what we have at hand here, and that is our final series of the day. Supernova versus Wildcard. You have two teams, two organizations with a long history in amateur here in the Tier 2. It is nice to see them for semi-pro, and let us focus on Supernova initially because this team, well, the organization themselves, they won the summer promotion. They got themselves here, but then all the shenanigans in the offseason, the event that we were talking about earlier, they completely changed up their roster, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, a handful of teams definitely switched things up, and this was one of them. It is exciting because Quacker is one of the players who did actually play through the promotion relegation tournament, so it's nice to see him get to find his spot here. Robbie Bob has been a mainstay in the scene for so long. Same with Sketch and Trevor. Sketch, by the way, who is back to 80 carry, which is cool. And they even have a new coach who we actually just found out they had a coaching staff shift. I think I saw it today.
Yeah, Shiazuri, the Singaporean superstar. Got to chat with him a little bit last year. I believe it was, I'm trying to remember which team. I think it was Evil Geniuses. I don't remember exactly what team he was helping out with.
I also thought Shiazuri. I think it was AoE.
Why do I feel FlyQuest? I don't know. One of the teams last year.
That was Soul Strikes.
One of the teams last year.
We'll figure it out. The point is, you've spoken to him.
Yes, yeah.
You are deeply friended with him.
I suppose we could put it that way. Either way, he's been around to the scene before, but very, late, I guess, coaching swap here for Supernova. We'll see if that affects any of their draft going forward.
Especially going up against Wildcard, a team that, unlike Supernova, did not shift up much of their roster. 4 of the 5 players returning. The only one that is different is their top laner at the moment with Zamudo, because Zamudo is filling the shoes of Moose Hater. But Zamudo has a very fun story having boot camp over in Korea during the spring split, now coming in here into the semi-pro scene.
Yeah, even before this happened, Zamudo, along with Faisal, I even hinted at the top of the show today, as one of the players where we were saying, dude, give this kid a look. It is ridiculous that it's taken this long for him to play at this level, but now that he's finally here, so far, especially on a team like Wildcard, who already has an established style, Zamudo fits like a glove, and he's looked fantastic this weekend.
And we were talking about drafts. I think Wildcard are still living up to the expectation set in spring.
Zamudo makes it crazier.
With a lot of wacky drafts. Zamudo's very different champ pool from Moose Hater, but not any less wacky. As he's played things like
It might be different, but it's the same at the same time, if you know what I mean. If you get what I'm saying.
Same but different. I was watching the VODs, and I saw Karthus drafted. I'm like, okay, Karthus mid, Greg is top. Oh, yeah. And then we load into the game. I'm like, what?
Nope. Well,
but I mean, he was pretty good.
I think it works really well because it bounces off what Keel plays, because Keel plays a very unique style as well, busting out things like Nunu in the past. And this is a player, I think, having someone like Zamudo is really nice, because Zamudo, the Karthus that he can play, he likes to play a lot of the marksman in the top lane as well. I think it really just helps build up Keel in the same role that Keel had in Spring, Kangas.
Yeah, and in general, the jungle is going to be the matchup we probably pay the most attention to in this match. We think is going to be very impactful. Zamudo and Keel play off each other very well early on in the split, as you can see through some of these plays. And Keel in particular, very comfortable with engages and also disengages. His Kindred has been fantastic so far, just keeping everybody alive. And they took a 2-0 against Evil Geniuses, one of the teams that I expected to be very strong coming in now that King is in the roster. So props to Wildcard and Keel for getting across that finish line, picking up a big win against a Challengers League opponent.
I feel like that is the thing with Wildcard is you just can't predict what they're gonna do. We already have a hard enough. We had a hard enough time last split being like, all right, where do we measure up this team? Because Moose Hater had such a unique champion pool. Zamudo, still the same thing. The players love the skirmish. They love their team fights. And now they're going up against Supernova, a team that had a lot of unknown quantities for us going into the split, especially through their jungler, because Music is a very new player into the tier 2 system that we have here for Challengers Beat.
Yeah, I like that you specified that, because Music's a player who actually has a lot of experience over in the ERLs before coming over here. And kind of just alluding back to what we spoke of before, the thing that is so good for Wildcard and what they have done really well last split is they always had an identity. And for Supernova, that's going to be some of their biggest challenges, not just today, but for the next few weeks here early in the split, because they're a roster who we see some of the gameplay. They have some pretty good pieces as far as players who have been in around the tier 3, tier 2 circuit go. They have to find their identity as that 5-man unit. When we were going through these teams, player by player, we asked ourselves kind of the same question we were talking about earlier with Taco. Who is going to carry on this team? And that's what we're still trying to figure out. I lean towards Sketch because I actually think when he was playing AD carry before that first swap to support, I actually thought he was a pretty good player overall. He just didn't have as much time as I maybe hoped for him to be able to develop more in that role, but now he's back.
Yeah, he's back in that carry role. I mean, for me, I kind of look at Supernova, and I kind of like what Music's been doing to play around Quacker, as Quacker had a lot of really good flanks, but also something that was awesome from Music that we got to see a little bit of was how he plays around the team fights, but also his smites. He stole away some crucial objectives in that very first series that they had up against Team Fish Taco, where you're just like, how is Music getting away with some of these? That really made it so that they can continue these fights. It's set up Quacker to continue those flanks as well. And as you mentioned, with Sketch being such a big factor for the team, that someone that I think does need to be the carry, having 2 flanks in Music and Quacker really is going to help them with not having to worry about everyone diving on a Sketch. They have to focus on the backline first.
Yeah, pulling his best XU impression. Just smite steal after smite steal there in that last series against Team Fish Taco. So I think Supernova, I know that general sentiment is that the power level of this team might be a little lower the table, but that's only fired them up more. We've seen on social media them clapping back at some of expectations, so now it's their opportunity to prove it against Wildcard.
Yeah, and like we said, Wildcard being the Wildcard team, and Supernova be an upset team themselves and take a couple of games or take the whole series off of them. We'll find out right now. Kangas beatdown get us into game 1 of our final series of week number 1.
Thank you, Magical. The last series of week 1.
Don't say it again. I'm sad. It's already over.
Walk it in. Only week 1. We got plenty more summer split to go. Okay.
But there's only one week 1 Kangas.
Well, then you should be honored that you get to be participating in it.
Right.
Yeah, this is a good thing. It's a good thing.
So
and the way Magical set this up is Heart of Amateur versus Heart of Amateur. That's kind of the nickname for Supernova. Many players have gone through Supernova on their way to other teams further on in their careers. Even if this is a completely different roster than they had from the relegation tournament, which qualified them in, a lot of the players that they picked up still have some promise. I'm very excited for this roster regardless. And Wildcard, while it's not as long of a tenure as Supernova, no slouches in their own history of developing players.
Absolutely. They've got a... If you got a second and you haven't done so yet, just take a second later on and look through both these teams' Leaguepedia lists, because wow, it's long. And I mean, these are teams that are pretty dedicated to finding, fielding talent in the tier 3 scene for these last couple of years. Yes, Supernova longer, but the point is they're both really big on doing so. And now going into today's game too, I mean, I was hinting at it earlier, Wildcard already have their defined style. Zamudo makes that work, but better, because Zamudo is just a stronger player than Moose Hater overall, let's be real. And also, the thing that was nice about Moose Hater was that there were a couple picks that they could flex between them. Well, Zamudo can do the same thing. The Karthus is actually something they share, which was insane to me.
Good point. Keel can't play that in the jungle as well. We'll see if Zamudo pulls out the Zac, though. That's the real test of the flexibility of this team, of this composition. But right now, they're not going to get the Kindred, Blitzcrank, or Senna. Those are banned away from Supernova. Wildcard ban away the Maokai, Emilio, and Rakan. And you are excited to talk about this one, Beatdown.
I'm excited to see it because I've been dealing with this champ for weeks, Kangas, and it's been awful. But I'm excited to watch someone else
the cathartic
deal with
release of watching somebody else
Yes,
play
because
it and have to struggle.
why do you think I'm a caster and not a player?
It's a good point. It's a good point. Nico, a lot of BS that this champion can pull off.
Pretty good.
There's probably some good YouTube highlights by now with the changes to her, being able to take over jungle camps, all kinds of random stuff, and find surprise ganks. Let's see if Wildcard's ready for it as they lock in the Gragas and the Aphelios. I expect Gragas to go to Zamudo in the top lane. He has been piloting that one very often, whereas Supernova will lock in Vi for music.
Yeah, I like that one. It's kind of in line with what we've been seeing from him. Those champions that have the early game impact. Spike hard at level 6 reminds me a lot of Volibear in that sense. And you pair really well with the Nico or Robbie Bob in that mid lane. It's not a champ I've seen a lot from him overall, but they will sync up pretty well. Very similar to things like the Ahri and things like that. The Pop Blossom makes for a great wombo combo too.
Well, hear me out.
All right, I'm listening.
Hear me out. We're about to cook a little bit.
Okay, what are we cooking, Kangas?
Nico support. I think it's viable.
yeah.
I actually think it can work. We'll see what Wildcard lock in for their support because it can be very dependent on that. But against the Aphelios, who's very low mobility, I actually don't hate it. But it'll come down to Supernova and what they want to play because it does kind of fit Robbie Bob's playstyle. He likes the Lissandros, the Gallios. Nico kind of slots into that engage support playstyle.
Yeah, I like what you're putting down. I'm just not sure if Trevor's like that. I'm a big Trevor fan, don't get me wrong. But if he has support Nico in the pool too, like, man, I'll acquiesce. My bad.
How do you answer the spice of a Wildcard draft? You got to get spicy yourself, man.
Yeah, true. So it's possible.
Although it's not a very spicy draft so far.
No, it hasn't, but we're not there yet, Kangas. Who knows? And the big important thing with Wildcard isn't just the spice. It's the way they draft their lane matchups. In that, for the most part, all we saw in spring is that they didn't care about lane matchups. Not even a little. They draft for team fighting, scaling, late game. Bot Prio has been a big thing for them because they play for Lens, who is really strong performer on this team. And the only early game plays we see are usually through him, but it's really just about team fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy you highlighted that because in spring, that was kind of the identifier that we had for them, was that they wouldn't necessarily draft to counter lane as much as counter team in like compositions in a way.
Like, Renekton's bad here? Renekton's so good in late though in this team fight. Just lock it in. Renekton may not be the great example, but you get my point.
Well, notable for the Garen, I think, for sure, especially the flanks. But now, I like Soligo on the Annie still. I like Lens on the Aphelios. It feels like they're going more for comfort at the moment, while the junglers are banned out here. Wukong and Rek'Sai taken off the table. And notably, Yuumi made it through. I didn't even notice that. Yuumi wasn't banned in the first rotation, finally banned in the second rotation. Props to Supernova and Wildcard. Round of applause in chat right now. If you have any of the subs,
we love
start
it.
spamming those.
Yeah.
We had an agreement, I guess, before a game. Maybe we just weren't going to lock those in. But the Kha'Zix is the jungler for Kiel.
I like it.
Very high burst damage. Assassin champion can follow up on Annie engage very easily.
I was going to say, it fits really well with the with what Soligo's playing. And Soligo, really good on these, a lot of different kinds of mage champions. Really good at setting up these team fights and skirmishes. So it's the perfect fit coming through here. And unfortunately, Trevor's not cooking what you're cooking, Kangas. But Zeri Lulu, this is a pretty good bot lane.
Yeah, this makes a little more sense. I mean, the Melio and the Yuumi are taking off the table, so go for the Lulu. And now we have the Nautilus locked in for Wildcard. So more engage on the side of Wildcard, where Supernova, in theory, will be looking to peel back for their AD carry a little bit more. But they still have their own engage tools, so maybe a little more flexibility. I don't know who I'm favoring in this. A lot of it can come down to how I expect the Nico to be able to control mid-wave if you can get that shove over the Annie and roam first, because that is the big strength of Annie, especially when Soligo pilots this champion.
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking like the nameplates off, I think both these drafts are pretty good. The big thing for me is simply that how are you tracking this Kha'Zix in the early game? Supernova, there's a lot of pressure there because we saw it actually earlier on the day when Yuji was playing it. Lycos didn't win, but the point more is that if Heel gets into these positions where he actually manages to pick up early gold, this Kha'Zix snowballs really hard just because of how well it syncs up with the Annie. You get a stun, you blow someone up, you're going Duskblade. So that kind of reset is very impactful in these team fights. But Supernova overall, late game, Zeri Lulu, really strong duo. You're going to be putting out a lot of damage. You have good team fight overall. So Wildcard, you know what? I'm gonna pick the Coward's route. I think both of these teams can win.
Ooh, okay, 50-50. Let's see what the fans believe. Spam SN if you believe in Supernova. WC if you're rooting for Wildcard or just believe that they will pick up the win here. The final series of Week 1 for the LCS Challengers League Summer Split. We got a banger in front of us. Two of the mainstays in North American Amateur fighting their way into the Challengers League, and now they get a face-off in Week 1.
Nice and slow, no level 1 shenaniganeries, as Magical loves to say. Fan sentiment, though, pretty even. Oh, I like what we're seeing, though.
Ooh, Saligo in the bait. Oh, he doesn't want it.
Okay.
I guess they didn't have vision on where everybody else from Supernova was. That would have been an avenue to maybe get in there.
Maybe get a flash.
Instead, it's just the early ward.
Yeah, but, I mean, fair enough. The early vision matters, too. Keel is a jungler we know who's really good at, more than anything else, he's really good on these farm champs. He paths very efficiently, is able to get just these natural gold leads in a lot of different jungle matchups. So having that information on where Music's going to be, where he's pathing, can kind of help not only plan out his route, but give him openings to go for ganks.
Well, track Music's clear here. Wildcard will have a little bit of information as they have wards both in the entrance to the top river, as well as on the Raptor camp. The Supernova want to play around that, because they did see that Saligo dropped that ward down, so maybe Music just paths around it, avoids the Raptors to not give them that information. But even in doing that, it kind of gives them information, because if you know where he isn't, you can kind of infer where he is.
Right. So far, there aren't going to be many angles for Music to really find a play. Like, bot lane is pushing in. You don't want to dive that early against the Nautilus. Mid, if Robbie Bob can land a root, there is that angle for Music to come through. But the pathing is important because, like you said, the ward is there. They should have the information.
Ooh.
And Music is not nearby.
Early anti-ganks. I love these. Flash from Robbie Bob to try and get to safety. Should save his life. But a necessary summoner spell use there.
And you can just go ahead and punish this. Again, Keel could honestly wrap back around if he wants to. That wave is pushing away from Robbie Bob. He needs it to go back in. Of course!
Oh, let's go, Keel! Okay, does Robbie Bob realize Saligo can just flash Q him right here, right now? Okay, Robbie Bob, very defensive. Reads the play and... Well, okay, no, Keel's still here.
I mean, why not? It's so
Wait a minute.
free. No W.
Oh, this is 5-head. Never mind. Saligo almost died. Okay. Yeah, that's a big wave. Oh, wait, no, this is 5-head. Music now knows the Keel's here. Oh, good jump. Kha'Zix to safety. Oh, he didn't see Music there, though. Surely, yeah,
no,
you should be
they're
aware.
picking. They know. They know he's there, and there isn't really much else. Keel... Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. Music got through the turrets.
Q cooldown is so long. Please give up.
Nicely done there. Still chasing Saligo. There's no camps topside to clear out, so it's just to put the Annie behind, get a shove from Robbie Bob, and get that early back off.
Wow, I mean, it's not so bad for Music because he sees how much farm Keel has. He knows he has a little extra time to get a little silly with it because he's already gotten that full clear except for the Krugs. Gonna go ahead and reset, get that first buy, and it actually gives Music a bit of an advantage because he has that extra bit of stats and he's already coming back on the map.
Keel will clear up the rest of the bottom camps here. No lead in the mid lane. Robbie Bob only was 2 CS up while both mid laners teleported back into lane. But there is a flash still on Saligo, so if Keel wants to, even if you don't have the stats right now because you haven't backed earlier, they still can look for that play into Robbie Bob. He's not safe yet.
No. Far from it. That flash is still unavailable. There's still going to be that opening for Keel to be able to punish that. Maybe go for a kill. We talked about the gank setup for the Annie, and that's why you see the vision that we do. It's a good understanding there from Robbie Bob. Just be like, okay, well, he's going to be on his top side at this around this time. Let me just make sure that he can't sneak up on me again.
Yeah, the ward over the wall, as well as the ward in the pixel brush. Robbie Bob can see either approach from Keel. I don't believe Keel knows that, though, so did spend a little bit more time hovering, and this whole time Music has been able to just keep farming up. We talked about him coming in. from the ERLs, and now he's playing here in Challengers League in North America. Music is a player that we weren't necessarily sure what to expect from him coming into the split. So far, decent start to this game, and Supernova will start up the Dragon.
Yeah, they've got a lot of push and cryo on the bottom side. It's going to give Music that opening, especially with the knowledge Keel's top side. It's going to be an easy objective coming through. Means Supernova can put all their pressure on that Rift Herald in the coming minutes. Level 6 really looks good on Supernova's top side. I favor them for the Rift Herald fight. And now, Ligo
has the flash available, and Keel's hovering. Keel has the serrated Dirk plus a longsword just to the double longsword of Music. The Music's gotta be careful, but that was a big chunk on a Keel. Was that just Trevor? Wait a minute. I think that was just a Trevor E auto Q. It's just half health Keel, but oh, Trevor, you gotta be careful. Oh, Duo King does not know.
No info.
There's so many moments here where it feels like Trevor should get punished, but without the information, Wildcard are not willing to commit.
At the end of the day, Robbie Bob having a good laning phase so far, really getting the better of Sligo in this matchup. He has a lot of opportunity to poke, better range and everything like that, so it makes sense. And I like the support he's getting from the team as well to let him do that. Because Robbie Bob's a player who we talk about, where he really shines in these team fights when he's playing these facilitator type champions, ones with CC, the engage type things. And he has that here in the Nico on top of the damage he's gonna have as well. So the fact that he's doing well in this lane, really well in fact, does bode well for Supernova later on in these team fights, as we highlighted how strong this mid-jungle duo is.
No early kills, though, to start off this one. 7 minutes on the board. We have the early Dragon taken, and Herald will come onto the map shortly. Maybe that'll be the magnet for action to happen, as level 6 has now been reached by Music, who has been ahead of Keel. Now we'll finally go for that second back and pick up more items. Probably going for the Black Cleaver, I would imagine, based on the enemy composition. Interesting to note that we did see Tomio go for the Radiant Virtue with the Chainsword earlier in the day. So, in a couple different Vi build angles, but you don't necessarily need that healing reduction, the Grievous Wounds against Wildcard's composition. So probably more standard, just help get through those tanks.
I think part of that was the fact that they were getting so far ahead. Chainsword is cheaper as well than Cleaver. I think it was just that fast spike he was hoping for on top of it all. But here, I'm expecting something more standard from Music. Now he's hit level 6 as well. Herald is up. Neither bot lane has rotated.
We got a gank mid?
Oh!
Robbie Bob. He absorbs another gank here. Doesn't flash this time.
Yeah, he does manage to live. Is using the refillable pot, but this is tough because now he doesn't have teleport. And that level 6 advantage I was talking about doesn't apply anymore because it's going to be that 3 versus 2. Quacker can't do anything about it. Actually, Robbie Bob, is he going to... Wait, can we look over at Nico? Did he change to like a minion or something? I wonder if he's doing something fancy. No, he just looks normal. That's not fun.
I mean, also, there's just no reason a minion would walk into the river, so I don't know if you're really...
But the confusion alone.
I like the Tibbers placement from Saligo here. Holding Robbie Bob off. Flash from Robbie Bob to Pop Blossom on the Saligo, who's in the pit with Music, and Keel can't even get in there. That is the Herald stolen.
Oh, Music, he wants
and the kills over to Supernova. Ooh, Vaultbreaker misses. I don't think they have the damage now. Music cannot get onto Keel. Maybe Quacker can. Flashes the wall. That's kill secured.
Wow, really nicely done there. Supernova get everything they could hope for. Robbie Bob stays, which is really risky overall because his health was so low, but he manages to use that flash aggressively and help secure some kills in the Rift Herald. Big thing here too. I mean, Music just goes for the 1v1. He's feeling himself, gets a lot of damage, and because Saligo hits the eye, Music is like, oh, cool. I can flash now, or I can smite, and he just goes and secures it.
And the fact that Quacker's able to get to the play earlier than Zamudo, who somehow ended up by Tribush, not exactly sure how that happened, meant that Supernova also picked up a couple
he probably
kills
ulted him across the wall.
That actually would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. He was ulted during that fight too. That's what happened. Trust.
Well, regardless, that's 2 kills in Music's pocket, and there you go. Black Cleaver completed. That's a lot of gold for the jungler.
That is a lot.
As he's very far ahead now.
Yeah. Only one really keeping up on the side of Wildcard is Lens. I mean, we praised him for being a good player just through and through. Lane, out of lane in team fights. this guy is able to deliver. If he keeps pace with Sketch, there's still a good chance he could help turn things around. Remember, even though the gold is not in Wildcard's favor, the pick potential they have is still something to worry about as Supernova. So how you play these fights out is crucial.
And Lens is also a player that impressed us a lot in this spring split. It was always between kind of Masu Lens as to which of the rookie AD carries coming in was kind of hard carrying more. In general, Masu was turning more heads, but Lens definitely getting nods along the way, as we were very impressed with what he's been able to accomplish. Now might need to be the carry for this team, as they have fallen a little bit behind. But Zamudo, meanwhile, also getting a sizable lead against Quacker in the top lane. The Gragas winning out right now. Engage into the mid lane. Saligo in trouble here. Chain CC locked down just out of turret range. Means that Music might even survive this. Heal wants to jump in, trade one on back. That's a heal from Trevor, keeps the jungler alive. It goes from bad to worse for Wildcard. They lose their mid laner and their jungler.
Trevor has been all over the map in this game. He's just out roaming, joking. He is constantly influencing this mid lane matchup. And oh wow, they get another kill. Nautilus out of the picture. Sketch is here to help collect plates. And Supernova have blown this game wide open. You can see the gold advantage just continues to grow for them.
Supernova, again, defying expectations. Going into the split, if you asked anybody on the broadcast, many people in the scene, hey, where would you rank Supernova? I don't know if I have heard from anybody higher than like 7th out of the 10 teams present. Expectations based on the roster, based on the available players, based on everything that happened in the offseason, not very high, but this is a fantastic look for them. Defying those odds, proving the haters wrong. And you know that the folks over at Supernova are loving this right now, saying, yeah, keep doubting us, keep denying our abilities, and we can have performances like this. Specifically, Music stepping up huge here, and also impressed with Trevor. Having a really good roam timer, just being in the right place at the right time. Don't expect a lot of action here. Actually, maybe I should. Quacker sidesteps the explosive cast. Keel's here, though. Quacker in trouble. Okay. Keel turns the play, but now back into the mid lane. Robbie Bob and Music yet again, making Saligo's life very difficult.
And they're going to be able to get first brick off that. All this attention mid lane. Robbie Bob is fed. Music is fed. And it's looking like Wildcard so far have not been able to kill the Music in game 1 because it's just been nothing but Supernova.
The Music lives on.
Yes, it does.
As that is a very fast first turret, 13 minutes on the clock. Zamudo is still ahead of his lane opponent, and that kill to Keel will feel good. But it's not enough to get them out of this hole. That is a 3,000 gold lead right now at 13 minutes into the game. Generally, you don't see these that early, but yeah, you see it. Music, Robbie Bob, these are the two making the action happen.
Yeah, I will add Kangas. Supernova have been winning out on all these early objectives. That includes the first 2 Drakes. They're halfway to Cloud Soul. I want you to think about that for a second. Bonus move speed when you use your ult. Tell me that doesn't slap on Supernova.
Feels pretty good on Robbie Bob, on Nico especially.
Robbie Bob, Music, Quacker. Oh, Sketch, he knows pretty good. Oh, Trevor. Oh, wow. Isn't that just crazy?
Well, yeah, Music, really, you're going to be getting on them anyway. So.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not going to count that one. Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the bright side for Wildcard right now. This game's getting a little out of hand for them. And in a fashion that I'm not used to seeing, because Saligo generally, very experienced player. Oftentimes we call him the anti-flanker of the team. I don't know if he's been this targeted before. It's very rare that I see him put this far behind in the laning phase, and I actually really like this look from Supernova. Obviously, Robbie Bob is coming in as one of the more experienced players, probably one of the more confident voices on the team as well, coming off of 2-time CLOL championships. But the fact that they're just playing into Sligo, not letting this Annie get into the game, working out great for them so far. They're doing it again. Look at mid.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just really enamored. I'm like, wow, is Quacker just going to go for it again? Heals in the area, too. They recognize Annie. And even though Saligo has Splash, he is kind of vulnerable. So you're seeing this move from Keel. Oh, wow, that lands.
They got him. Okay, Flash available. Pop Blossom used, though. Is he out of there? Duo King in trouble. Now it's Flash away himself. Polymorph. Sketch is unleashed. Sketch is getting the damage on the Duo King. And that Nautilus is down. 7-1 on the scoreboard, and Supernova are running the Rift.
Music's ult does get canceled, which is kind of unlucky, but Rift Herald's still going to be there as Quacker. He wants the solo bolo. He's going to keep trying.
Used all out. Zamudo does have the explosive cask. Does he have to use it? Saves it. Not too shabby. Still alive right now as we'll let the observers catch up here. See some actions and pings from other members around the Herald right now. Supernova. Okay, they got it. Looked a little dicey. I thought maybe Wildcard had an angle in there.
No, they're just going to go ahead and walk away. I mean, we got to give props to Zamudo real quick. Fact is, this guy is basically an unkillable laner. It is so hard for players to 1v1 him. He just dodges all the skill shots. He's just walking around left and right. He's got the download. And he's got a big CS lead, all things considered. Even though things are not working so great for Wildcard in this game, Zamudo's been a rock in the top side. Lens has been fine as well. The fact that he's been going even. The thing, so here's the downside on constantly all innings Soligo. You're not getting someone who has more damage like Sketch ahead. I mean, this meta's been so bot focused this year, but you're making it harder for Soligo to have impact in these team fights. It doesn't mean it's impossible for Wildcard to win. It just means that it's hard. It's a little hard.
Yeah, and I will still say that Avaya ahead can look to pop an Aphelios with no enchanters nearby.
Yeah.
So the Aphelios has to be very careful, and I think it's wise for Wildcard to not contest this dragon. You need to wait for the 4th dragon, if even. Supernova are so far ahead, controlling the access points, and they are on sole point at 17 minutes, 9 seconds on the clock. One of the earlier sole points that we've seen all split so far. I know it's still the opening weekend.
Yeah.
But Supernova are off to the races right now. I'm just so impressed with how fast they're playing. They're not giving Wildcard any breathing room.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clear strategy they've had with this draft. Just constantly play 4 mid, set Robbie Bob up for success. Now in the side lane, he has a problem to 1v1, but he doesn't have to worry about that. He's got his team here, and I like that they have showed up because, one, they naturally took this bot tier 1, but use this Rift Herald. Try and get some more gold into your pockets as Supernova. And unless Soligo gets a big stun, I don't think Wildcard can stop this.
Herald charges, Keel is here. Takes out the shield of Lulu onto Sketch. As they do save their bottom tier 2 turret, Herald does not take that one. So Wildcard, it's about the little celebrations right now. They need to find bigger wins, though, to get back into this game. This Quacker is still fighting Zamudo up here, who is really the only gold lead for the team right now. And that's a tank Gragas, so it's not going to be getting you very far. I mean, when does Wildcard realistically look to fight here? I guess it's the Dragon Soul, but I just don't see how they're going to get that setup that they need.
Ideally, in this situation, you want to play for Soligo, but he's so far behind, it's actually not reasonable. He needs to farm. He needs to be pushing out like one of these side lanes, but Wildcard are going to get to a point where you're just going to have to desperately bring him to the skirmish anyway. Right now, this is that time. Another turret is going down, but Soligo is in the area. Are they actually going to pull the trigger on this? Robbie Bob is on the other side of the map. They could blow someone up really fast.
Oh, I actually would have liked if Zamudo baited a little bit longer. He walked forward, and Supernova answered by walking back. If Zamudo stays behind the turret, maybe they can get Soligo into Flash Tipper's range before Supernova realize that they're getting engaged on. But either way, Supernova will continue their walk forward, pressuring Wildcard. Maybe this next wave they look to take the turret, because they've already taken the outer turrets everywhere else. It's the last outer turret to stand for Wildcard.
Yeah, and they don't have much to stand on right now, Kangas. This gold lead for Supernova, it's continuing to grow. We're at 4,000. 4,500 basically. And it's taking all Wildcard has got to protect this top tier 1 turret. But you can see Supernova are not giving any ins for a play really to be made. Zamudo looking for something, but he can't quite land anything.
Still, it's trying to not drown as Zamudo now gets engaged on, has the explosive cast, has flash. Can he get out of this one? Oh, he's going to use the ult, and he's still locked down. Really solid buffer from Music. And that's an easy pick in the side lane.
You can see it. Supernova, they have so many opportunities. They can make a play wherever they want at this point.
Wait a minute,
especially...
Heal.
Oh?
Gets onto Robbie Bob,
he's
but
still
they
here.
still have music nearby, so yeah, not going to be a kill.
No. And there it is. One of the few opportunities gone. And at the end of the day, Keel on the other side of the map means Quacker feels very confident just to knock down this turret. We're a minute 40 from the Dragon Soul, and it seems pretty clear that Supernova likely aren't actually going to do anything until that objective comes through. You see them walking top, it's likely to set up vision just to make sure that Wildcard can't sneak the Baron. Well, there's a chance that they just do it themselves. So like, oh, whatever, we're fed, let's just go for it.
Let's not throw it at Baron, Supernova. I actually don't like that plan. I think
don't
that's probably
either.
one of the only
I'm
ways
just
the
wondering,
Wildcard
you know?
gets back into the game. So yeah, like you said, drop the ward down, get vision on Baron to make sure Wildcard doesn't take it. A minute until Dragon. Again, this is Soul. A reminder,
Yeah.
blistering game speed right now. And in general, this weekend, we've had a lot of very fast games. I want to say the average game time is probably around like 27 minutes. We've had a lot end in the 23 to 25 range. Only a couple go past 30. Supernova are hoping to keep that trend up right now.
Yeah, and right now, our prayers have been answered, Kangas, as the bulk of Supernova are congregating around that Dragon Pit. It's 30 seconds, everyone spent their gold. It's just about clearing mid waves until the time comes, or making a play onto Robbie Bob. I hope he respects it. It's looking like he might not.
Even if he goes down here, if they can get the Dragon off of it, probably worth big burst damage from
don't kill
Keel,
him.
but doesn't have enough in the tank to pick up the kill.
Yeah, but now what's the play here? Robbie Bob can still teleport back. Do you just go for Baron and force a fight? You only used one ultimate.
Yeah.
It's Keel's. So you still have a lot of tools to be playing with here, but they have a nice ward there for Supernova.
Yeah,
they know no one's on the Baron.
This is huge value from Wildcard. They're just going to flash engage right now. Oh my god,
Big
combo! As Lens can try and unload all the damage, hasn't quite gotten it. Quacker picks up the first on the Saligo, and the play is turned on its head. Wildcard only get the enemy support, and they're losing everything for it. It looked so promising, but Supernova absorbed the play. Double kill to Quacker and a kill to Sketch. 12-2 on the scoreboard, and Supernova are owning this rift.
And that fight looks so good. Duo King blind hooks the 80 carry. It doesn't get better than that. But the stopwatch gives Sketch time to flash out, and the gold lead does the rest here. Supernova claim the Dragon Soul, and the only thing they need to worry about is that big purple worm and Kangas. Oh, buddy, are they in line to take it?
Oh, the teleport flank by the Baron, plus the teleport from Robbie Bob was huge.
I mean, look at Sketch. He's just spamming whatever key his stopwatch is on, and that's the biggest thing there. The fact that Sketch manages to walk away from this, Lens isn't able to hit the bulk of Supernova as well. He even has the Inferno, but doesn't actually commit until it's too late, and he loses his frontliner in Zamudo. Going for that Lulu ended up costing him.
And in a rare turn of events, Wildcard looking out of their depths in a parking lot puddle. They are well behind in this game. Dragon Soul plus Baron on the rift. Supernova are on the precipice of taking game number 1 here. And it's going to be back to the drawing board for Wildcard. Maybe one final Hail Mary play, but a Supernova that instead pull the trigger. So few flashes and summoner spells on Wildcard's side. Heal survives for now. Lens trying to output the damage. He's got to be the main character for Wildcard right now. Has the flash, has ultimate available. Can Lens pull any miracle off?
Looking like the answer is no. Keel, not really nearby. They're trying to sneak over into the Baron pit, but they are going to notice with Trevor's help. There is a ward. They do this Baron very, very quickly, but flipping it is not ideal. They got to go for the turn here, but it's looking like Wildcard. They're not even going to go. Okay, they are going.
Keel's going to have to just blind jump in this. Doesn't have flash. Might's available.
Yeah.
And Supernova back off. Not feeling confident enough. They don't want to go for the 50-50, and they weren't postured for the turn yet.
Right, it's not worth the risk. So much gold would go into Wildcard's pockets if you threw it away here at the Baron. So it's a good call to back away. It's going to give Wildcard the opportunity to clear out some vision, kind of establish more of a presence on this side of the map. But it's not enough for really much, especially with music. Oh, hold on.
Keel's getting hunted right now. Music's chasing him down. No flash. Pops the ult, but runs straight into a Cassante. Trevor gets the kill credit for that one. And Supernova just picked off Wildcard's jungler, Baron. There's no chance at a 50-50. This should belong to Supernova.
Now that is more like it. It's worth noting Wildcard have a lot of ult.
Flank. They're on to Lens. The one carry for Wildcard is down and out. Supernova, a clean early game. Defying expectations in the mid and late. Playing very patient around these objectives. They win a team fight, acing 5-0. They'll get the Baron. It's not game yet, but we are on the edge of it. I am just so impressed with how this team is looking.
We're at 10,000 in favor of Supernova, and I like this call here. Not even this, where it's nice that they get Keel and get themselves the guaranteed Baron, but Wildcard know this would be the nail in the coffin. With their vision, Supernova take advantage of that expectation. Immediately, Music jumps the wall and blows up Lens alongside Robbie Bob. And once he's done, the rest of the fight is a formality.
Supernova stepping up huge right now. Sketch barely living yet again. I know a lot of people, a lot of fans coming in, especially from Spring. If you want the wild card domination continuation narrative, when they did so well early on, and Silly goes caught out in a side lane, you'd be rooting for them. But if you want the underdog story, if you want the Heart of Amateur to step up and show what they got in Summer Split, you are cheered for Supernova, and they are delivering right now, knocking on these inhibitor turrets. And Wildcard do not have a foot to stand on. Engage on the Lens yet again. Wild Growth down, flashed out. Lens, big Moonlight Vigil. Just does not do enough damage, not even close. Supernova still 5 members strong and continue walking in, breaking more of the base of Wildcard.
And how fitting is it that Supernova do this against Wildcard? When Wildcard was in this position last split, they had to fight tooth and nail to prove themselves as a good team. And we're seeing Supernova, they might close it out.
He's on a Lens. Oh, shut down. Okay. Lens has been given permission to do damage. There's very few threats left on the Rift. Lens, you gotta get up there. He doesn't have the flash or the ghost, though. And Keel even picks off at the very tail end. Wildcard just can't get enough for that despite taking down the front line of Supernova.
And still so much damage is done by the Baron buff, by the other kills they picked off at the tail end there. Especially Keel getting soloed by Music. Now, you're at this point where we will be fighting for Elder, and that's all Wildcard really have to depend on. But if we look at the itemization, this is going to be so hard. The thing that's going to prevail here for this team is once Keel is back on the map, you group up, try and get a pocket of darkness so that you can get on top of someone. Somebody needs to die before the fight starts. That is your only avenue as Wildcard. 5v5 is not yours.
As we catch our breath before what could be the final fight of the game. Elder up in 25 seconds. Shout outs to Music, Robbie Bob, Sketch, deathless in this game. Music and Robbie Bob put on a clinic for what you can accomplish as a mid-jungle duo. And now they're not even waiting for the dragon. They're just pulling the trigger right here, right now. Lens is down. Permission to do damage denied. Supernova take down the enemy carry plus the jungler. Diving under the mid-inhibitor turret goes Quackard onto Saligo. And Wildcard upset. Supernova feeling good as they will take down their rivals. The Heart of Amateur beats strong. Game 1 going firmly in favor of Supernova.
And maybe the start of a turnaround to a shaky first week for Supernova, starting 1-3, up in that 1-2 Kangas as they upset Wildcard.
Not the expectation that I had coming into the day, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. You love the underdog story. Wildcard off of a 2-0 against Evil Genius's Challengers. We're looking like a contender up there at the top of the standings, but this is a big upset for Supernova. If they can end here on a 2-0, that puts them back into potentially even top half of the standings after week 1. That would feel so good for a roster that so few people actually had faith in. No shade to the players. They just proved a lot of people wrong. But let's see what happens in game number 2, because we're going to send it to a short break while we get ready for the Rally Cry Halftime Show with Magical. We'll see you there.